The great drought and famine was about to end. In the days of Ahab, a great famine came on the land, and it was because of a man named Elijah. Well, it really wasn't because of Elijah, it was because of the people's sin. You see, all the way back in the time of Moses, God had told the people, "Take heed to yourselves that your heart be not deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then the Lord's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heaven, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, unless ye perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord giveth you." Well, in the days of Ahab, he established the worship of the false Zidonian god called Baal. And it says in 1 Kings 17:1, Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, "As the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word." Well, the drought was severe, it was terrible, and it got worse and worse and worse. And finally, Elijah called for a showdown with the prophets of the false god Baal. And you know the story of the showdown, how they were both supposed to call down fire, and whichever god sent down fire, that was the true God. Well, of course, there's only one true God, and so the prophets of Baal were humiliated and embarrassed. The people realized they had been duped by these liars, and they called for a great slaughter of all of these prophets, which was carried out. And in verse 41, it says, "And Elijah said unto Ahab, Get thee up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of abundance of rain." And so Ahab went up to eat and to drink, and Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he cast himself down upon the earth, and he put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, "Go up now, look toward the sea." And he went up and looked. And he said, "There is nothing." And he said, "Go again 7 times. Now, I wonder how many times throughout those years men had looked to the skies hoping for a cloud, and there was nothing, no rain. And so as his servant obeys him each of these times, Elijah continues to go back to the Lord in prayer. Go look. He'd go and look. He'd come back. Nothing. He would pray again. Go look. I love Elijah's persistence here. And finally it says, "It came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there ariseth a little cloud out of the sea, like a man's hand. And he said, Go up, say unto Ahab, Prepare thy chariot and get thee down, that the rain stop thee not." You see, Elijah knew that it was time for the rain. And Elijah knew that the rain wouldn't come until he prayed. And Elijah knew when he began to pray that God was going to answer that prayer. And so he just kept sending his servant back looking for a sign. And when he finally did see a sign, it was simply a cloud about the size of a man's hand. Maybe one of the first clouds anybody had seen in years. And it's such a wonderful reminder to us not to despise the day of small things. That's what it says in Zechariah chapter 4 and verse 10, "For who hath despised the day of small things?" You don't want to do that. You want to trust the Lord and realize that when God is about to do something, He's going to begin. It's got to start somewhere. And in the days of Elijah, it started with a little cloud. Well, that was it. He said, he told him, said, "Go tell Ahab, get ready." He says, "It came to pass in the meanwhile that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rode and went to Jezreel, and the hand of the Lord was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel." And this drought broke with this mighty storm that blew in. You know, I just want to encourage you today as you pray, don't give up. Continue to pray. Continue to trust the Lord. Continue to keep your eyes open for that cloud about the size of a man's hand. That's just the beginning of the mighty work that God is going to do. God bless you. Have a great day.